game is trash anyway, bro.
I mean, my game's not great. It's not trash. My game is better than yours, though. Definitely.
You think so? I'm an athlete, bro.
And you're a competitor too.
I'm a competitor.
So me just saying that is gonna change.
First 9, you might get me. That back 9, I'm coming after you.
Well, I'll tell you, like I told Jessica, I don't keep score though.
Yeah, I used to be, man, how many balls do I lose? Man?
Yeah.
So, you know, I live on that course, so I got buckets of balls.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah, so you sure do.
I usually have to pack 10 of them.
Yeah.
And if I walk away with losing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, I'm good.
So. It's funny when you were talking about your oak shot.
Yeah.
Right. It reminds me of just like those God moments and being able to see and recognize that and understand and flow in that and give honor to. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think about how when we met, it felt like a God shot.
Listen, for us to be in that room, because I'm gonna tell you, I almost didn't come to that.
Right, and I had the black and gold ball that day before. I mean, not the black and gold ball, excuse me, the MLK Gala.
MLK Gala.
The day before, I was on a company retreat, like literally that day. But I was invited to participate in that event, so I still came, even though I was tired, I was beat. But I wanted to really talk about this idea and execution of this podcast idea that I've been telling you about. And it's the Life Projection Podcast.
Okay.
Right? Projection 101 is the theme that I have lived by and kind of the framework that I've created, or I feel like God revealed to me to understand, for me, essentially how to become a man. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about it this morning, how a lot of my experiences have been from how not to be a man. And it's forced me to look at the men who are naturally in my life versus the men who God has placed, or my mom has even intentionally chosen to be a part of my life.
Okay.
Right? And wanting to look at and understand almost as a curator would of an art gallery and take the best parts and pieces from all of these men that I've experienced, had an opportunity to be around, and women as well, right? So that I can understand how to be the best man possible. And then with that knowledge and understanding, not only teach my son how to be the best man possible, but also show my daughter how to look for the best man 100%. Possible, right? So it's almost looking at the end of my life and reverse engineering to go back to the beginning of my life to understand how I've gotten to this point.
Where you are in life at this point.
Right. And I know that as an engineer and a creative, because that's what my profession is, right? That's what I get paid to do. So therefore it is constantly reaffirmed and validated. But yeah, just thinking about, that reverse engineering space, that reverse engineering state, and then wanting to begin that process of sharing stories, life, and not just mine, right? Because the biggest thing, I don't want anything to be about me. Mm-hmm. I want it to be more about the principles that I try to live by of coach, lead, educate, and mentor, right? And I know that you have operated and live in that coaching space. You live in that production space and grew up in that, similar to me. And it's like being able to use our gifts and talents to help others to learn how to succeed and excel.
You know how our conversations go, man. A lot of that stuff I feed off your energy, vice versa. So I appreciate you just opening up that part of my brain to speak creatively, Not everybody understands creative-minded people. I do believe that in that God created us all to be creative. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a world of projection or a world of media or whatever. I mean, it could be anything, arts, crafts.
It's all production.
It's all production. And so if you're a chef, you're a creative chef. If you're
you're producing something.
If you're a landscaper, you're creative. So I do believe we all have creativity in us. I appreciate you just allowing me to open up and speak freely, because everybody don't understand. I have a sister-in-law who was in media her whole entire career. And I don't know if I told you, but she's up in DC. So when we get together for family functions, because we both kind of worked in the media world, you know, we'll break off into our conversations and just everything just flies over everyone else's head.
Yeah.
It's almost like speaking a foreign language, and
Yes.
the only two of us understand. So that's how, you know, our conversation's going. So it's a privilege to be able to, you know, communicate and share those ideas, and just have that open space of just from the conversations that we have, you know, just to and from work or wherever you're headed. So, you know,
It's like it's in passing, but it always feels intentional.
Yeah.
Or if it's not, I mean, I feel like it's always intentional because we make the effort to call one another. We never know where the conversation
Right.
is going to go, but there's always something gained from it.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of something I've always needed. Was I don't want to dive into this as kind of a mentoring program, or mentoring, you know, podcast or you know, whatever, but it's going to lead to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to eventually lead to that. You know, because when you talk about life projections and again, the life projection is a metaphor of the vision that God has given us, the lifestyle not the lifestyle, but the life that we've lived and the life that we're currently living is being projected on the big screen of life. What is being projected? That's up to me. That's up to you. Is it good content? Is it bad content? You know, and I'm gonna dive off. I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna go off on a rabbit trail that, God, I hope it will lead us somewhere.
Terrance in Wonderland.
Terrance in Wonderland. Because I think that's the joy of our conversations, because we do go off on these rabbit trails. But man, at some point, man, those rabbit trails will then lead us back to the point and the topic of our initial conversation.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's almost like going back to what I was saying about your good content, bad content being projected in life. When you're scrolling on social media, what's going to stop you? Well, it's the good content is going to stop you. It's going to make you sit on that person's page and kind of watch it all the way through.
At the same time, it's what you deem as good.
It's what you deem as good.
So therefore, we also have to be intentional about consuming good content so that we reframe our mind to be in the space of good.
But then that's when it comes down to that spiritual maturity of what we know what's good and what's bad. Because if you're used to and being fed off pornography or sexual content, to us or to me, whoever, that's going to be deemed as good content. But when you're living in God's word and you're studying God's word and you're walking in God's word, we know what good content is. We know the life that we're projecting. We know the life that He has planned for us, and we got to walk that walk. And scrolling, and I'm using the metaphor of just scrolling because again, we're going to stop. What's going to capture us is something that's we deem as good content. And so, with that being said, there's a lot of things that I look at the quality and be like, oh, that's good. But now you got to determine what's real and what's fake. It might be good content. They might have this whole setup like this, but it's actors and they're acting, and you know, you're like, oh, how can this be real? You know, when they got the camera set up. Oh, they just happen to be rolling or whatever. So, and again, I'm going off on that rabbit trail, but I'm gonna bring it back in by just saying, like, through spiritual maturity, we are here to project, hopefully, good content. My story ain't perfect, you know.
Shit, I know.
So, but I want this to be where a safe space that we can open up and talk and chat and grow and live, man.
Yeah,
You know?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that, man. I did take some notes the other day as I was just sitting and thinking. So I was like, how we met. God is so intentional in sharing like that journey through Career Projection 101, you know, and with that book and going as an independent contractor from start to finish in a career, retiring as an independent contractor. There's so many people that are looking to live this entrepreneurial lifestyle. I don't believe everyone's meant for it.
Oh, bro.
I don't believe.
What was our conversation yesterday? We had this conversation yesterday. You're right.
Yeah.
You are solely right.
Yeah.
Now, can anyone be an entrepreneur? I think so. I think you can become one. So when do you realize, because you work, let's kind of back up a little bit.
Yep, because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, let's just kind of share each other's background, how we ended up where we are today.
Yes.
So, I mean, we'll start with yours truly, man. 'Cause this is your projection that we're seeing on display right now.
So better yet. So in the lecture that I did at Albany Technical College.
Recently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, recently I did a virtual lecture at Albany Technical College from my studio.
Yep.
From my studio here, and one of the things I was teaching about, and what God placed in my head and in my heart, I remember in middle school, and one of my favorite classes was geometry. And when in geometry you have to solve for proofs, right? You're trying to figure out the end result of this equation, and you have to prove if basically it's almost like an if this then that type situation. Right. But before that, as you're trying to solve the proof, you have givens that they provide for you to then move forward to help you to solve more items or more elements.
That's the reason why I got into broadcasting, because I didn't have to take math.
Because you had to take, okay, all right. So
I took geometry, all that, man. I couldn't stand it, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to go into the givens of who I am, right? Being able to understand, in order for me to get where I am, there were givens in my life. Right. Only child, single parent household. My mom is a creative, heavy creative. But growing up in DC and being a single mom, it was that space of you get a good government job. Yeah. You put in your 30 years, then you retire. That's the process, right? But that's not who my mom was at all. And she was miserable, completely miserable.
Is that what she did in her career?
That's what she did until she was with the IRS for 11 years until she quit her job and we moved to Miami. Okay. And we had a church and a U-Haul. That was it. Yeah, church and U-Haul and some people that she met down there. Gotcha. And we were packing up and moving. All right. And so to go down there and to not have really anything, but was it a wing and a prayer? Yeah. I learned what felt like the hard way as a 12-year-old, as a 12-year-old, leaving elementary school, going into middle school, already hard years, going into middle school in a place of trying to figure myself out. It wasn't sports. Gotcha. Sports wasn't for me. It was TV production. Mm-hmm. That's what made me feel whole. My mom, actually, her favorite parent, if you will, was her dad, Clement, Rudolph Phillip. So that's who I was named after, but he transitioned when my mom was 17. My mom had me when she was 25. So essentially my mom raised me to be her first love, which was her father, that she lost. So Big Sean kind of mentions this in one of his songs. I feel like at times I feel like I'm living a second life. Oh, wow. Based on the way that my mom projected her father
to raise her
into me.
Oh, yeah. That's deep. Yeah, it's real deep.
Yeah, it's deep and it's heavy.
Yeah,
that's a burden.
It is, man.
I remember my mom used to say things to me growing up, and I would kind of have say I had a little attitude or I did wrong by her. She would always say, "Is that how you're going to treat your wife?" That's how she would condition me, because now we get into psychology and Pavlov and all that. Conditioning me to be a man who is nurturing and thinking about how his actions affect someone else, someone that he loves affects a woman. to my mom is raising me to be
Right.
a gentle man.
Right.
Right. And so now all that creativity, all of that production, all of that, going down one path and realizing that's not your path, leaving that path, backtracking to then start over in this other area of interest, which for her, when she left there, we moved to Miami, the IRS and moved to Miami, she started pursuing photography and recreation because that too was her first love.
Now, how old were you at the time y'all moved to Miami?
12.
Okay.
Just finished elementary school in the suburbs of Maryland, Bowie, Maryland, and we moved to Miami, Florida.
Wow.
Big jump, big
Huge
culture
jump.
shock.
Did you guys know anybody down there?
Maybe 7 people,
Okay.
5 people,
Close? Friends or family members or?
family.
Okay.
Yeah, not really, no.
Why Miami though?
Because of a church.
Okay, you said that.
Yeah. She went down there. Went to Miami the 2 summers before, and got saved.
Wow.
Went to a church, found Christ, found that path that Jesus took, and it resonated with her, and she felt like this was a better life for her to live,
Right.
and this would be a healthier life for her to live. What the life that she was living was not the life that she was meant to live. So therefore, and my grandfather was an immigrant from Trinidad too. So I think a lot of moving to Miami, there was a cultural influence.
Was she born in Trinidad?
No, she was born in D.C.
In D.C.?
In Maryland, D.C. area, yeah. Yep.
Wow.
It's a lot, man.
And
But I think, but just to kind of fast forward a little bit or just kind of live in that space, I think those are just the givens
Right.
that we all have in our lives. Ways in which we are all influenced by our parents, by our grandparents, by our ancestors, by our community. All of these things are subconsciously put into us, and we're conditioned with these things. And once we come into a level of consciousness, all of those things are already subconsciously developed who we are. And so do we continue to move forward not knowing, or do we get into a space of knowing so that we can be more intentional to project the ideal image for our future based on the understanding of where we are today, and that is part of the understanding the givens of our past.
how do we get to that? All right.
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town in Tennessee, rural town in Tennessee. So my mom was a single mom as well. It was 3 of us, 3 of us, yeah. But I was around my grandparents. They were one of our strongest supporters. Of course, my mom being a single mom and sometimes working 2 jobs. She worked in the medical field, so she would get called in late at night. So we spent majority of our time with my grandparents. But going back to your question of how do you know, or how do you get to that point of understanding your past if you didn't grow up around it? I grew up around my grandparents. I knew how they were brought up. I knew what was instilled in them, which was instilled into my mom and my mom's siblings, which was instilled in us. But yet I too kind of failed to really understand direction or my purpose for a very long time. But again, going back to your question is how do you even understand? You knew what was instilled in you. You realized that your mom took what she was taught, which was from her father, and instilled it with you. What if we don't have that?
Yeah. I rely on the word,
Yeah.
right? I think that for me, that's where I find my answers, right?
Which is,
so it's like seek and ye shall find.
Right.
Knock and the door shall be open. Not saying that it's going to be an easy journey to go and find those answers, but how did you end up in Tennessee?
Yeah.
How did your mom end up in Tennessee? Where were her parents from? I think a lot of it is asking the questions. Asking the questions. I love Simon Sinek, his book. It starts with why. Right? Why are we here? How did we get here? So this is my starting point. How did I get here? Okay, you all met. There was a procreation process, and I'm here. How did you all meet? Where were you and you when you all came together? How did you get there? You know, it's like you got to, it's a lot of reverse engineering step by step. I think sometimes we're able to skip a couple of steps based on things that we may already know, but there's still intention in all of that. So it's a rabbit hole, similar to what we were saying earlier. From my understanding, my paternal grandparents were both orphans, all right? Mm-hmm. And so there is a layer that I can only go back so far on their side from their knowledge and understanding. But then I believe that, okay, maybe it's meant for me to only be there, I can only maybe go back 2 generations. I can't go back 3 generations. But there's still so much knowledge and understanding that I can find within those 2 generations just by asking some questions.
Yeah.
And looking for the meaning behind the meaning. I mean,
Right.
you're a producer, you're a storyteller, you understand. Like, someone could say something and you're hearing them say it based on how you're interpreting them saying it. But are you listening to it from the standpoint of what they mean when they're saying what they're saying?
Right.
We're hearing things from our own bias. We're hearing things from our own lived experience.
Correct.
But I need to listen to the stories, like you were talking about the helicopter story, and going over the mountain and everything and seeing on the other side of the mountain. I'm visualizing it and I'm experiencing it from my level of consciousness and my lived experiences to see the reality that you lived. But I need to get to know more about you in order to experience the life and the reality that you live, so I can see it from your perspective to help you to better understand you, how you are here.
Right. Well, and it goes down to what you said about wiring. We're all wired together. You know, or, you know, families and the wiring of how do we get there, that thread. You think about when a production takes place, when you're at a live event, the amount, and a lot of people don't see this. And if you go to these concerts or go to these these events at these convention centers, you know, I had a chance to work with you at on an event locally.
At the JW Marriott?
Yeah, and so seeing the amount of cables that are connected, the wires that are connected, and if you want to put that in perspective, you think about the load in and how everything has a purpose. Everything has a reasoning of why they are there, why it is there. And, you know, boxes and you know, boxes upon boxes of being loaded in. And equipment are all over the place and people are all over the place. And I thought about that time and was like, wow, everybody here has a purpose. It's to do what? They all have responsibilities. The lights have to go up. The mic cable have to get laid down. The monitors, the LED walls have to be built. The cameras got to be built. The XLRs or the camera connections have to be, you know, connected. At the end of the day, then I went back. I came over the next day, and everything was working all in unison. So again, the amount of wires that it took to connect all of that for one purpose is to what? For those to come in, walk in, sit down, and look at this one performance or, you know, one conference or one presentation, and gathering information or whatever, and then walking out and going about their day. And then, you know, of course, we go through the whole breaking down and all that. But saying all that to say that the amount of wiring that it takes from the production. I mean, both you and I have been in live sports. People think that, oh, you're so great, you get to go to these games and you get to work these games, or how awesome is that? But don't understand the everything that it takes, all the connections, all the wires, all the cabling and all that. Even when we live in a world today where fiber and Wi-Fi and all that is huge, we still connected at some point. You see what I'm saying? So again, rabbit trail, but
but what I hear you saying is, similar to a production, similar to a sporting event or any broadcasted event, there's wires, there are people working together to execute this production. The same concept are in our individual lives.
Right,
There are
exactly.
wires, there are threads, there are connection points to help produce our reality to be our reality. Now, in order to move to the ideal place of this future that you desire to have, you have to know your wiring. You have to understand your
Yeah.
wiring, right?
Yeah.
How can you build a mansion, the masterpiece that you are designed to be? How can you build that without the understanding of the foundation?
Right.
You don't know how much you can build. You don't know how high you can go if you don't have a better understanding of the foundation.
Yep.
You have to better understand your foundation. But that takes work. That takes time. Like especially since COVID, man, I've gone through so much in my life. I've gone through so much in my life. I've gone through so much in my life. I didn't think that I was going to be here to see this day in my life.
Wow.
That's how much I've gone through.
Wow. That's deep.
Right? And I would say the majority of the people that see me would not know and understand how much weight, how much of a burden, how much anxiety, how much stress, how much I have been carrying on a daily basis. But a lot of that is because I'm focused on the ideal image and I'm tweaking every single day.
The small details matter. And I think in our world, there's no skipping over any steps. And what I'm hearing you saying is that during COVID, being an entrepreneur, things shut down, businesses stopped, hiring and all that stuff. So therefore, you had to pivot, you had to move. Well, it was a lot on a lot of people. And you and I've had this conversation, and again, being in a world that both you and your wife are entrepreneurs, life continued to life. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If that's such a thing. So you can't stop. You got to move. You got to be able to pivot. But then again, that just goes to show how strong of a person that you are, because you are here today. And a lot of people, wasn't able to, aren't here, because they were not able to carry that load and that weight.
Yeah. And they weren't able to be connected enough with their purpose. I know that being connected with my purpose, and having an alignment with God.
You were grounded in faith.
Yeah, right. Grounded in faith, grounded in purpose, grounded in the belief of more.
Right.
Beyond my current level of understanding. And with that, being able to, knowing my love language, right? Knowing what my love language is and understanding how I can use that knowledge and understanding of self to feel God and recognize God in everyday moments. You coming up and speaking to me in a moment of pure exhaustion. I was so tired. My cup was empty. In that moment, because I was speaking on a panel, I was giving from an empty cup. I was giving from an empty cup. And there were two people, you and Michael Eubanks, came up to me and recognized me and were honoring me in that moment. It was like a shot of espresso.
Tell me, how did you get through it? What was it that, because you and I stood there and talked, probably, and I could tell you were on your way out.
Yeah.
Because after that presentation, everyone kind of went back to the whole networking thing, and I could tell you were on your way out. And that's why I was like, let me catch this guy because I may not ever have another opportunity. But what prompted you to stick around instead of you saying, hey man, take my number down, we could talk later? We stood there and talked every bit of 45 minutes, maybe 30, 45 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
With your cup being emptied. Where did you find that last bit of fuel to keep the wheels turning?
I think a lot of it was that space of genuine, healthy human connection. someone, but I'll just say someone, right, came up to me, recognized me. They recognized the godly work that I was doing.
Yeah.
Right? Because you came up to me based off of what it is that I had been projecting on social media.
Yeah. 2 years ago.
Yeah. You noticing that projection.
Yeah.
Was 2 years ago.
And again, like you said, at that point, your cup was empty. And that was just a divine order from God that you and I connected. Because now hearing your story, as much as you and I have talked in the past, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. That was God's way of refueling your tank. And I know you and I were talking the other day, and I had said something about the road trip. We were talking about the road trip. When you hop in a car, let's say, take a destination somewhere, or let's say from Tampa to LA. You're not just going to hop in the car and just go, right? You will. You will. We talked about this. You're a man of just... You're a man
I'm punching in the GPS and
man,
go.
Let's go.
God got it.
But even to the point of punching in the GPS, because I was talking about just planning.
Yes.
I was talking about being a planner and all that. And so, but you still gonna have to map out your route. And man, gas is $4 or $5 a gallon. So therefore you gotta know how much your tank can hold and kind of, say, all right, we'll get to this destination, we're going to fill up. But my whole point of what I'm saying is that you cannot just go from Tampa to LA on one tank of gas. You're going to have to stop along the way to be refueled. Yeah. And that was that moment of your tank being empty and you have to, you were being replenished. And that's, when you and I were talking the other day and now hearing this story, that was one of those moments. Whereas in life, we have to have those refueling moments. And as an entrepreneur, I'll take it a step further, as men, we have this persona that, we got to take care of everything. We're the weight of the world relies on us. It falls on our shoulders. Of course, back in the day, we were taught, you fall down, you get back up. Men don't cry. You don't, you got to be strong and, no sign of weakness whatsoever. But at some point, man, you gotta, life is going to tear you down.
Yes.
Life is going to life and it's going to tear you down. And if you don't have a band of brothers right there that's going to be there. You think about this right here, being in sports. I use sports as an analogy in just about every time I have a conversation with someone. When a man goes down, knee or whatever, or just injury, there's someone there that is going to pick him up, teammates, trainers or whatever, and help that player back across the field or the court, of course, depending on if it's something major. So, but what I'm saying is there's that band of brothers or sisters or whatever that are right there to help you, get beyond that moment. And so I really felt like that moment, now that you say it, was God using me as a fueling tank to replenish what I'm not going to really say the enemy has taken away from you, but what life has drained from you.
Yeah, and to add to that, I agree. I agree. And to add with that, I think about how you take your car to the shop, and a lot of times if they're going to do a fuel intake cleaning or whatever the case, they're going to drain it.
Yep.
They're going to completely drain it, and clean it out, flush it out, and then refill it. Right. I gave so much at that MLK Gala, and the video for what it is that we produced, that 5-screen blend with Elevate Tampa Bay and the MLK Gala. That's on that video is on my YouTube page. But being able to give so much of myself in that moment. There were students, I was teaching, I was producing so much. I gave so much of myself, and my cup was empty. And even in that speaking at that event, that was almost like wiping the last bit of it out.
Residue off, yeah, man.
just flushing it and cleaning it, residue. If there was any contaminants left,
anything left, yeah,
wiped out and gone.
yeah.
And then when I was done speaking, that panel was over. It was plugged up, and then you came over,
Packed up, ready to go, and then here I come. What's this brother doing, man?
But I believe that it's like, because not even knowing, you knew and understood so much about you and who you are and what you've done and where you are in your career. I didn't know all of those things. You had already had an understanding of who I was.
Right.
I didn't know you, right? But God knew who you were, and God knows who I am.
Yeah.
And the alignment, the convergence of the two of us coming together and now being here in this moment that allows for this conversation and future conversations and other conversations that I will have and you will have and we will have in ways that we will also teach students, produce events, take all of the knowledge that we have from production and give it to that next generation. COVID, an example, going back, COVID doesn't have to be a hard reset if you're I'm not a PC person. I see that you are. But if you're a control alt delete, a control alt delete, right? That control alt delete of what COVID does not have to wipe out things completely and do a hard reboot to where the standard completely drops. Because we're able to.
You're saying my standard dropped because I got a PC. So
I'm just saying it's different. But you know what? Because you know how to use that, you're able to. And a Mac, right? You can cross-communicate to people, right? We'll twist it
there we go.
in a healthy way. But I believe that through that knowledge and understanding that we have, and that willingness to share, the next generation of people trying to do what it is that we're doing, or even the knowledge of understanding of projecting life, will not have to start at a unhealthy space. Basically, giving them the cliff notes and coaching them to understand how to move forward.
Well, and another thing I took out of that connection was just walking on faith. I took a chance to, first off, because when you were speaking, there was so much going on in that event that night. You know, there were some people that were seated listening, then there was people in the back that were still networking and talking, and so it was kind of loud.
There was food and drinking.
Food and all that, and drinking, and so, but, you know, where I was placed, because I think I had just gotten there, and I didn't really quite hear your introduction, but I remember seeing just little videos of you that I saw on your social, and then I think I heard something about AV, and I was like, man, dude, is this dude? Is this brother that I hit up on social media 2 years ago? And then, but going back to what I'm saying is that once it was over with, and just walking up to you, introducing myself, asking you if you were who I thought you were, and of course you said yes, but that connection, because again, you never know who God puts in your life. You never know the path that God has laid out for you. Had I not said anything, we wouldn't be here to this day. Had I not listened to God and say, you know, hey, go introduce yourself to this guy, I wouldn't be here today. And so you just never know. You never know who you come across. You never know, you know, the connections that God put in place for you. Even if it's just speaking to someone in the grocery line, or doing some kind gesture for a person, or just asking someone, hey, how are you? You never know who you might be talking off the ledge, or, you know, God putting that angel in your life as well. And I really think that day that, you know, we met was the fact that this was, you know, I didn't realize we'll be here this tight, sharing stories, visionary, sitting here in front of 2 cameras right now where we are, still, you know, doing some work with each other together and all that.
Producing
events, but having like minds. And able to share our worlds. And we both have families, we both have similar careers. Where we are in our life, age-wise, knowing that, you know, for some, oh man, when the bottom drops out, life is over with. I'm 48, you're 46, so, you know, we're right there around that same age. we're kind of asking ourselves like, wow, like how much fuel do we have in a tank? But I think this connection is allowing us to realize that we got more fuel in our tank than we expected. And so, and that's just that divine connection that God has allowed us to come together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I've been saying, or better yet, reevaluating some of the things that I say, because I'm trying to be more intentional. With words, my mom would always tell me, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yep.
Right? And so therefore, I want to be more intentional about what I say. And so I remember thinking and saying, God is good, right? And all the time,
Yep.
all the time,
God is good, yeah.
right? But then even thinking, good isn't enough.
Oh no! What does it say? Good is the enemy of great.
Right? So God is great. Great isn't enough. God is amazing. Amazing is not enough to describe God. So it's basically I have two things. God is. Well, God is God. Period.
Yeah.
Like how else do you describe beyond your level of describing?
Ah, man, that's a good one.
How can you put words to describe God when God is beyond words?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because there's a list of adjectives that we can go through of just how God is to me, to you, to our cameraman Sam here.
Yeah.
But then when you realize what he's done in your life, where he's shown up, where he pulled you from, there's not a word in the English language that can explain that or describe
Any language.
Yeah. But you got to understand the goodness of God, the greatness of God,
Yes. Yes. You got to
perfection
start somewhere.
of God. And that's based on your experience. And I pray that everyone has a great experience. And I know we all don't, fleshly, we don't have a great experience. But God is a forgiving God. He is a loving God. And one thing I realized when I was saved, that he was right there with me the entire time. So I used I painted this picture of God just sitting right there next to me the whole time. I was just like, man, I've been waiting on you to call on me. I've been waiting on you to give up, basically realizing that I didn't make you, I didn't build you to carry this load on your own. And I think once we talk, the Bible talks about just dying of self in order for him to live in us. Doing that and just getting rid of ourselves and filling it up with the Holy Spirit and trusting in him and having full trust in him. Man, I jumped from kind of similar story that your mom had that faith in God to make that move from DC to Miami. Bro, we ain't talking from Bowie, Maryland to Bethesda, Maryland or Virginia or Delaware. We're talking like Miami, 600, 700, 800 miles away. And I kind of had that similar story. My mom remarried, we moved to New Jersey, and she only because she remarried, we moved there. Then we moved back to Tennessee, but just me getting outside of that mountain I was telling you about, that was the first time I've actually lived away from that mountain. And for the audience that's listening or watching, I grew up in, again, like I said, rural Tennessee, and in front of my grandparents' house was this mountain. And I just remember as a kid just always looking up at that mountain, wondering what's on the other side or whatever. I grew up single mom or whatever. Again, a lot of our support came from my grandparents. So we were up there all the time. We didn't travel. We didn't go on vacations. Couldn't afford it. And then, middle school, my mom, elementary school, we moved to New Jersey. Now we're going from a rural Tennessee town to outside of Philadelphia. culture shock, bro. Culture shock. But that instilled something in me. I hated it. I hated every bit of it. Now still got friends to this day from New Jersey that's still there. But to this day, I'll never forget just that moment. I left that small town in Tennessee and got to that bigger middle school right outside in the suburbs of Philly. Just the kids, and I never forget the first time I came home. That first day of school, my sister and I are 18 months apart.
Okay.
She got held back in the second grade. So from second grade all the way up to graduation, we were in the same grade. So going to New Jersey, that was my ride or die homie, man, my sister. And so she got chicken pox the first 2 weeks of school. So here it is, we're in a new city, new state, new school, all of that. I had to start it all by myself. But I took that as a learning lesson for the rest of my life. That there's no boundaries to what God has laid out for us. And like I said.
But was there fear?
100%. Okay. Well, then or now?
Then.
Heck yeah.
How did you overcome that fear?
I had to go to school. I had to go to my classes. Now, again, you're thinking another culture shock was, I started 5th grade in Tennessee. I went to school in 5th grade for 2 weeks. And that's when we moved. So in that rural town, 5th grade was elementary school. We had one teacher. That's it.
Oh.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
5th grade, elementary, Tennessee. Get to New Jersey 2 weeks after school started. 5th grade, middle school, 8 teachers. So that was a shock. That was a culture shock, a complete shock. So yeah, that was fear. And now I'm up here with all these kids now, middle school. When I was in elementary school in Tennessee, I went to school with the same group of kids that I started kindergarten with. Maybe 1 or 2 might have dropped off, 1 or 2 might have picked up, of course. But now I'm in an entire new school, an entire new format. So yeah, there was fear. There was undeniable fear. Just I didn't want to go back. I hated it. But by the time, after about those 2 weeks and my sister came back, here it is, I'm introducing her to people, and again, made some really good friends up there the 4 years we were there. But that instilled in me growing up. What was instilled in me growing up was the fact that, hey man, trust God. Yeah. Even then I didn't know God then, trust him. So, I made the move when we moved back from Tennessee, but now in adult life, man, my family and I, we moved back to Tennessee, Chattanooga, a little small town. Yep, Chattown. And then I took that leap of faith and got a job in Nashville, Tennessee. Moved there, daughter was 2 at the time. Yeah. Again, didn't know anybody up there. I think I knew one person up there at the time. And then on top of that, I started traveling. I was traveling all over the country, never really had been on a plane before, never really been outside of Tennessee other than the trip to New Jersey. I'm an adult at this point. But it always took me back to that moment when I started middle school, when I started 5th grade in New Jersey, that, man, trust God. Yeah. Trust God. There's a learning lesson in everything that we deal with. You can either get slapped in the face and fall to the ground, or stand there and push forward. Yeah.
And I believe that our ability,
because life gonna hit you in the face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes. For sure.
Mike Tyson said, what did he say? Everyone can take a punch until you get slapped in the face, or everyone can take a hit until you get slapped in the face. Something like that, he said. So, yeah. So you can either stand there and fold, or you could continue to push forward, live life.
And I believe that based on the givens that we have in our life, and with the knowledge and understanding of today, will help us to achieve the vision for our future. And we're going to dive deeper into so many elements and teachings and understanding of that, the structural process, and have conversations to be able to extract that information from others so that we can see it, the formula, and begin to teach other people that engineering life projection formula as well. And I'm beyond grateful for this opportunity for you and I to be in this moment and understand how to continue to move
Yeah.
forward with our life projections.
100%. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
Like the whole life projection. You and I had that deep conversation when we were setting up literally a projector.
Yeah.
What I knew versus what you knew.
Yeah. And that for one of our episodes,
Yep.
we're going to have the projectors
Yep.
in the screen and do a full convergence and incorporate that into a
Yeah.
teaching and into a lesson.
Yeah. There's a life lessons in everything that we do. So regardless if you're in the production world, the media world,
Any world.
if you're a teacher, if you're a truck driver, whatever, there's life lessons. And that's the beauty of God and the creative mind that he has, because he created this world, he created us, that he gives us symbols, he gives us signs, he gives us, all types of storylines that we could produce and apply to our own production, life production. That's deep, man. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.